And good evening, sim racing fans. We are once again back here live tonight from the Autoclub Speedway for yet another edition of the eRacr Roval Racing Series. Sean Butler as well as Joshua Mendoza here and set to bring you another great rendition of multiclass racing here on iRacing. And Sean, I'll just go ahead and start with you. Again, this series has continued to deliver with battles throughout the different classes that we've seen. And honestly, I think after a lot of the kind of awkward road courses we've seen, New Hampshire, Pocono, to name a couple of them, Auto Club, a lot more familiar, a lot more straightforward. And I think because of that, we're going to be seeing some great racing tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody has been, the radio has been active, so to speak, in practice so far. I've had a lot of guys complaining about the difficulty of this track, how narrow it is, the speed differences. So it's, of course, for us, it's going to provide some great entertainment and hopefully for you guys as well. But it's going to be a challenge for these guys. They're much like, all the other tracks. So we've gotten a couple weeks ago as well. We've had there's a bunch of high speed portion to this track as well as some slow technical corners. So going to be an interesting night for these guys to tackle. And I'm excited to see who gets the best of it.
I am too, and Josh, coming to you. Of course, you mentioned just before we went on air, this is the West Coast. This is kind of your home track. I guess maybe that's a good way to put it. It's your home track.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here a couple of times in person. Sonoma, this track, my home track. Really, the two courses that we go to. A part of the normal NASCAR schedule here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. We only go to one of those, but it is an incredible track. One of the oldest surfaces in all of the NASCAR circuit. It's 24 years old. The only one older is Dover, and it means it's going to eat your tires up. How much of that is that infield going to eat those tires up? What can you do with that? And just keeping the car underneath you is going to be super duper important today.
It is, and of course, this edition of this course, something that is going to change. Of course, Autoclub Speedway announcing that they're going to reconfigure the track to kind of make a short track out of it. So, of course, the oval that we have now, or is at least scanned in iRacing, not going to be around for much longer. So this is perhaps one of the last goes we've seen. This road course isn't often used on iRacing, but it is something that, we may be seeing somewhat for the last time as they decide to change up and kind of shake things up here at the Autoclub Speedway. But before we get started, let's go ahead and take a look. This week it was Josh that decided to make a lap around instead of me or Sean. We've rotated through, so we'll let Josh take you away to a track that's in his home state of California.
The eRacr Roval Racing Series has come to Los Angeles for its penultimate race. Drivers will take on an exhilarating high-speed course, all while trying to keep tire temperature and tire wear under control. The Autoclub Speedway is located in Fontana, California, and is the sole stadium with speed that we visit on the West Coast. We'll be using its 24-year-old surface today to see who can find grip throughout all 20 turns inside of its 2.8-mile Roval road course. Ride along with me while we navigate this treacherous infield of this incredible circuit. As we begin our lap, it feels very much like a restart for a race on the oval. Getting through the gears will be important as we're going to try to maximize our speed here for turns 1 and 2. As we enter into turns 1 and 2, the drivers will be maximizing how much throttle they use, all while trying not to spin those rear tires. As we exit turn 2, we'll need to lift for just a second to help us make the corner and set up for the infield entry. Avoiding wheel hopping here is imperative to a solid infield entry. Once we enter the infield of the course, we'll notice the drivers have a lot of room to make moves instead of passing into the corners. This corner right up here is an excellent opportunity to pass if you can brake a bit deeper than your competitor. Just don't brake too hard or you might knock them off the course. As we exit turn 6, we'll want to avoid losing time to wheel spin as we're about to go through one of the fastest sections of the infield. Braking for turn 9 and turn 10 is extremely tricky as it is a curved braking zone. Braking here will be a balance that will separate the best drivers from the rest. Exiting turn 10, we're already planning for the high-speed chicane ahead. This chicane can almost be entirely cut, just don't get 4 tires outside of the white lines. Another passing opportunity is presented with heavy braking into turn 13. We may see some competitors try to outbrake their opponents while still attempting to slow down enough for this tricky turn. The next 6 turns are a slow crawl compared to the rest of this road course. Up ahead on the exit of turn 17, you can clip these cones on the outside, just don't go too far or you'll get a slow down penalty. This bump as you enter into the oval section is another place you can easily make a mistake. The vehicle will lose traction, so throttle control and patience will be imperative to making a good exit onto the oval. And that's a lap at the Autoclub Roval. And now for the next 60 minutes, we'll watch the competitors from the A-Class, B-Class, and Ballistic Pack C-Class take on this tricky course.
And there you have it, a lap around the Autoclub Speedway. Thank you very much, Josh, for that. And aside from getting around the track, let's take a look at what these drivers will have to keep tabs of tonight in our keys to the race here tonight at the Autoclub Speedway. And there you have it. Getting through the gear is going to be very important. And I guess, Sean, deciding which gear you want to use, because, again, with different classes, different setups, you kind of have a little bit of leeway in terms of what you want to run, especially through the infield section.
No, absolutely. I mean, it depends on what car you run in this, because, you know, first gear will help you get through the corners, but it might not help you with the drive off of the corners. So things you got to think about, you know, getting into the corner would help you out with a low gear, but getting out of it with a higher one will get you better exit speed. So really kind of depends on what these guys are comfortable with and what they think will save tires the best. So, I mean, that's going to be a big key, especially as we've talked about all season, to getting back on the oval part of the Roval.
That is going to be very important. And, of course, track temperature, we're going to have to keep a note of that. Right now, I'm showing 130 degrees, so it is blazing hot out here in California. And there you have it there on your screen, 92 degrees ambient temperature, so it is just scorching here. So the rear tires, Josh, I believe are going to be utmost importance here, especially at a road course that, especially through the infield section, is very flat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very easy to spin the tires as you're going through those hairpins, especially going into turn number 10. You saw it on the video there. It is a curved braking zone, which makes it especially difficult to get through without sliding those fronts or locking them up, as well as, you know, avoiding wheel hopping and then getting out of turn 10 with as much throttle to get through that chicane on that middle stretch in the infield. It's very difficult.
Very tough indeed, as we'll take a look ahead at our point standings coming into tonight. And again, this is something we'll have to keep our eyes on. This is the penultimate race of this eRacr Roval Racing Series. You can see Matt Danson still your leader here in the A-Class. Vicente Salas not able to make it out tonight, so he not going to score any points in this series tonight. James D. Gibson right now rounding out the podium for the A-Class. Matt Taylor, though, Sean, has the opportunity to lock up that B-Class championship tonight if he has a very good run in the B-Class.
Yep, so essentially if he wins tonight, he's got the B-Class locked up. If he gets second and Brian Sabelski gets a third or better, there is a mathematical chance that he can make a case for the final race. But right now, there hasn't really been a more dominant driver in this series than Matt Taylor in the B-Class. So a lot has to go Sabelski's way if he wants a shot. But all pretty much Matt Taylor has to do is do what he's done all season, and he's got the B-Class title locked up.
That B-Class title going to be interesting to see if we can go ahead and lock that up tonight. But then, of course, the Ballista Pack C-Class, that's the most competitive, at least at the very top of the standings. You see David Grantham right there in control with Brandon Panetto and Jeremy Barreau right on his toes. So should be interesting to see. And, of course, with the way these points are scored, remember this is F1-style points for each class in this series. So perhaps Hunter Reeve, Christopher Colin are a couple of drivers that also have the opportunity to make some points up here with just 2 races left to go. But before we get these guys rolling off, we'll go ahead and throw it down to the 4th member of our broadcast crew here tonight. That is Justin Prince down on pit road. Justin, anything you're hearing from these teams before we get set for the green flag tonight?
One of the main things you discussed in terms of the keys has been trying to manage the tires with the track temperatures, and that has been a major discussion point for these competitors entering this evening. Especially trying to keep the rear tires for some competitors is going to be very important. Some have reported their tires feeling scorched after 5 laps. around the Autoclub Speedway's road course. So tire management is going to be very important for these competitors, and it's been emphasized all throughout the radios throughout practice and qualifying.
That is the case, and especially with the temperatures where they are right now, I have to imagine that is going to be something that every single team, every single driver is really focusing in on, because you can't push it too hard. And of course, in this series, not a lapped series, it is by time. So of course we'll race for 60 minutes. We'll have a caution right around the halfway marker of this race. So getting to that 30-minute marker with your rear tires still on your race car going to be very, very important as we take a look at the starting grid here tonight, as you'll see Matt Danson leading them off. Again, he is the points leader in the A class, and he will start on the pole. So very good for him to try and build up that points lead. You see Andy Trupiano to his outside will start in second. Michael P. Frisch making a debut tonight. The eRacr Roval Racing Series will start on the inside of row number 2. Cody Harris, the 95 machine, will start in fourth. Good to see Seth the Merchant back out here. He'll roll off from the 5th starting spot. And then 2 drivers in the A class. Again, we separate by class here on the starting grid. 6th and 7th. 6th to Christian Peterson and 7th to James D. Gibson. Josh, 2 drivers that did not make a time as we take a look at the B class.
Yeah, Matt Taylor going to be leading off the B class here. Wonderful start there. Going to make sure he's going to easily be able to secure up his best chance to get the championship here tonight. Philip Bupp going to be second, and Brian Sabelski third. Brian going to be trying to make at least one last run at trying to get that B class championship here. Joseph Selby fourth, and Justin Malillo fifth. Going on down the line, we got Cade McGee and Arthur Reimer 6th and 7th. Also row number 7 of the overall field, Gary Weaver and Evan Pienta coming on out here. And then that's going to go over to Sean with the Ballistic Pack C class.
So for the Ballistic Pack C class, last week's winner, Brandon Ponetto, looking to make it 2 in a row this week. He's going to be our pole sitter for the C class. Tyler Stillwell will roll off in second. Riley Dunn, third, will roll off there in that 77. Dustin Ping in the number 1 will roll off fourth in class. Row number 3 for C class is Hunter Reeve in the 044, Jeremy Bro in the 74. And the second to last row, the 26 of DG Swiss, and David Grantham did not take a time tonight, so he has his work cut out for him if he wants to lock up this championship. And rounding out the C-class field in the 87 is old Clint Roberts. He'll round out the field in the 25th overall position.
You know, guys, I'm going to be honest here. I don't think I've ever seen such a slow pace lap. They're going 35 miles per hour throughout this entire track. You know, I think New Hampshire was faster than here in California.
It is very slow crawling around this racetrack, and again, that's going to come in handy when the field is spread out. We get that halfway break, being able to catch everyone up to the pace car. I know that's something a couple of drivers have had to mess with, that they kind of race through the caution just to try to get caught back up for the green flag. Of course, of note as well that it is 35 miles per hour down on pit road as well. So these drivers are going to have to really slow it down, watch those speeds, watch the lights on the dash to not go too far. 35 miles per hour, much slower than what I believe, Sean, is a 55 miles per hour typical pit road speed here at the Autoclub Speedway. So going to have to really slow it down and make sure when you do come down pit road that you are not going too fast.
Maybe an idea for the iRacing higher-ups, maybe for leagues, we can dictate the pace and pit road speeds for leagues. I don't know. That could be something worth taking a look at. Would help us out at least with the timing of these pace laps. As you said, the field crawling through the infield portion of this track. But going to be very interesting. This is going to be another one of those turn ones, guys, that we've said it all throughout the season. Who is going to be able to, for lack of a better term, survive the opening corners of this race? We've seen a bunch of guys try to be ambitious and try to make up as many spots as we can, as they can on the opening lap. And if I'm taking a look at somebody to try to make something happen, I'm going to be looking at the 6 of David Grantham in C class. He is, as we said, the leader of C class, and he has a lot of ground to make up and he could possibly try to get something done early at the start of this race. So keep an eye on him to be making stuff happen all race long.
I think a lot of our championship competitors we're going to have to keep our eyes on, and especially what they do here early in the going. And as you mentioned, Sean, what are we going to see in turn 2? Every single race, there's really one corner that off the jump we really have to look and see what's going to happen. I think here at the Autoclub Speedway, where there are 19 turns on this road course, that turn 3, which is kind of halfway down the back straightaway here on the oval, and into turn 4, basically 2 90-degree corners that Josh showed us a little bit earlier. I think that's the one we're going to have to watch to see if we can get through side by side. But the pace car going to hand the field over into the hands of Matt Danson, your A-class leader, and the drivers will do this themselves. You see them separate by class, just the A-class drivers up here, your top 6. The B-class, I don't know, about 20 car lengths behind, and then another 20 back to the trucks in the Ballista Pack C-Class right behind them. Green flag is out, and we are racing here at Auto Club, and James D. Gibson not wasting any time in that Valvoline Chevrolet. He's going to stuff it up the middle. They're going to go 3 wide here as they enter the oval 1 and 2. And again, we'll see how they sort things out. A 30-degree left-hander followed by a 30-degree right-hander coming up in 3 and 4.
In the corner here, Michael Frisch side by side. Andy Trupiano for 2nd overall. Danson going to make it in. Here comes DeMerchant taking out 2 cones. We're going to try to take advantage of that. Going through him, the infield portion. Justin Malillo gets a little sideways in the back there. A lot of guys hitting these cones. But for the most part, Blake, it looks like everyone makes it through clean as they head to the... Oh, we got trouble. Gibson is around into turn number 5 down here.
Well, and it looks like he may have gotten a little bit of help. He had some connection issues and was blinking out momentarily there, and I'm not sure if the driver behind him really knew where he was. I believe that was Christian Peterson, and yeah, that's the case. Gibson blinked out just as he was entering that corner. He gets sent around, and he'll have to collect himself back up in the middle of B-Class. But as the Cup cars continue to pull away, one driver in the B-Class who's really escaped is Matt Taylor, again, your B-Class points leader, and right now he's got a pretty healthy lead on the rest of his class. He's got Gibson behind him, a little bit of damage on his machine, but Taylor able to pull away by several car lengths over Brian Sabelski for 2nd.
As we see them make their way through and knocking those cones over, remember, that's not a slowdown penalty, but it's certainly going to make the stewards over there having to replace those cones frustrated after 60 minutes of that. See a close battle here. That's Frisch and Danson within 0.2 of a second of each other. And they're going to make their way through turns 1 and 2. It is going to be very difficult to not burn your tires up through that corner. You're going to want to stay on throttle as much as you can, but not put too much in that you burn them up trying to keep it in that corner.
Very important indeed, as you see catching up to the back of Frisch is going to make it a 3-way battle for the race lead. That is Seth DeMerchant, who has caught his Logitech Altus Esports teammate in Matt Danson for the lead. And as they go through here, this is turn number 5, and Frisch able to get alongside, so they'll go side by side for the race lead. Frisch to drivers left of Matt Danson as they work towards turn 6. Interesting part of the track here, long sweeping right-hander through turn 7 into turn 8, and Danson still leading the charge.
Through turn 10, Danson still somehow comes out of there with the lead. Frisch, though, right on his tail as we make our way down to turn 12. That little kink right there down this long straightaway into turn 13, and then a quick right left-hander into 13 and 14. So just a quick update as I was talking about on the grid, David Grantham up to 5th already in the Ballista Pack C-Class, so he's starting already pick off some drivers back here, and he's off to a very good start. But just wanted to get a quick update on him as we head back into the oval portion in the A-Class. Still a 3-car race at the front here with Danson, Frisch, and DeMerchant, but don't rule out Andy Trupiano back there. We've seen him be very strong as the races go on. So already working lap number 3 right now, but so far looks like the 3 dominant cars are starting to pull away.
Starting to pull away a little bit. You see about a 5-car length gap is now James D. Gibson has moved on to pit road. Justin Prince, what are you hearing down there?
Well, with that situation with CP, he did not realize, I think he had the connection issues. He was told by Peterson after the fact and had mentioned, I don't know, from my point of view, it felt like I got driven through. He mentioned also on the radio the next lap, his tires were destroyed and his car not looking like it's going well so far as he starts to nearly pop the motor.
Oh boy.
Gibson has not had the most enjoyable experience here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. He has had a rough go of it, to say the least, through this series, as we see a very great battle still ongoing up front. Frisch trying to put the power down. It was a change for the race lead, by the way. It may be confusing because those cars look so similar, but Seth DeMerchant is the race leader. That is not Matt Danson. Oh, spinner back here in the back. It is Evan Pineda, who had no more contact. Cade McGee, Arthur Reimer. That was an accident that was going through that long sweeping right-hander in turn 8. We'll have to see, maybe we can get another look at that.
Oh, man. And this battle for the lead is still heating up. Frisch got real close. He's burning those tires up, entering into the track, though, so not sure how long he's going to be able to keep them underneath him. This is his first race. Does he know how much he needs to keep him cool? He also told me he's not a great road course racer yesterday, so we'll see if he can keep this car underneath him for the entire 60 minutes.
By the way, guys, the track temperature now started at 130 degrees. It's 136 now. So it's only going to get hotter as we go through here at Auto Club. And it's currently 12:30 in the afternoon. So if you want to have a hot racetrack, this is apparently the time to have it.
Oh, man, it's getting good up here. Michael Frisch getting by DeMerchant, who went a little wide in turn 4. This is some good stuff right here. You still see 5 cars that are within a shot of the race lead. And, Josh, I thought this was your home state. Why is it 92 degrees out here? I thought, this is California. The weather's supposed to be nice. As you see Frisch up front. He may have it here into 6th, and, yes, he does. Michael Frisch through to the race lead.
Well, to answer your question, I can't set it any higher than 90, but right now, as it stands, it's 95, and where I'm at, it's 103. So, I wish I could set it a little bit higher, but there we go. We see Frisch gets a little bit of a pull away, and this is going to be interesting. What a great debut, leading a couple of laps, but is it too much too early?
Guys, we're getting another update here. David Grantham is up to 2nd in the Ballista Pack C class right now. He is mowing them down back here. Just went by Jeremy Bro for 2nd in class. We got a couple cars off ahead of him. That's Evan Pienta. JP reporting to us that his first laps in this car at this track were qualifying. So nonetheless, he's having a little bit of a rough time, but Grantham putting up some flyers as he makes his way through the C class field.
Yeah, Pienta, that is the 2nd time in as many laps that he has gone off through turn 8. And turn 8's probably the most difficult part of this racetrack. You slow down, you have a little bit of a right-hander, and then the angle of the turn really sharpens, but you have to carry a lot of speed. There's not a lot of banking, as we saw earlier when Josh was working his trip around the speedway. So just a very, very tough portion of the racetrack to try and get through as we are looking at a couple more battles taking place throughout the field. You see Justin Malillo, Philip Bupp, somewhat close for about 5th in B class. Bupp, yes, of course, and another change up front.
Yeah, so that change right there, Frisch got a little bit fast going in that last corner right before you get back onto the oval. Went beyond those cones that I told you about in that video, and got that slowdown that I said was possible if you just went too far. That allowed Danson and DeMerchant to get by. Is that going to be the last we see of Frisch? I doubt it. He looks pretty fast.
Definitely.
I don't think so. And, of course, we have that halfway caution to bunch these guys back up. So I imagine that even if this is a bit of a learning opportunity, not just for Frisch, but really the whole field, that's really what we've seen is the first half is really take what you can learn type of experience. And then, of course, moving forward, then you take what you took in the first half and applied in the second half. Words are hard to come by, as we have 2 drivers that have decided to call it quits. James Gibson, as you saw earlier, already on the pit road, and Clint Roberts as well has pulled off the racetrack. 1 driver off in the grass, sliding through. Who is that? Tyler Stillwell, I believe. Yes, that is. The 36 has gone off once again. Turn 8.
Pienta's off again.
Oh, that looks rough. He's having a bad day.
The third time he's been off, but I can't stop raving about the run David Grantham's having right now. So he just passed Justin Melillo. He's in the B class, of course, but still still maintaining about a 4-second gap between he and Brandon Panetta right now, but he's had a great journey through the field. And I think JP's got an update on David Grantham. What you got, JP?
And keep in mind, the reason he didn't put in a time in qualifying is he waited towards the end of the session. He got down the front straightaway to the point where he got nearly to the logos at the start and finish line, and then qualifying ended. And he mentioned to me that his goal was to minimize unforced errors. He started off the day, unfortunately, with that unfair forced error, but he feels the pressure is really around knowing that every point matters, so the time for unforced errors or major mistakes is longer. And so far, he's done a great job in recovering from that qualifying mistake.
Good stuff.
Wasn't Auto Club the scene of that great debacle with the NASCAR Cup Series group qualifying where they all got basically to the line, but the red and black was shown and nobody took a time? I don't know, Auto Club and qualifying ending right before you get to the line is name a more iconic duo.
This was also, I believe, this was the home of that movie, Ford versus Ferrari. I know it was supposed to take place at Daytona, but this is actually where they filmed that movie, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen the movie yet. I've heard it's really good. I haven't watched it yet. But I heard that even though it was supposed to take place at Daytona, this is where they actually filmed it.
It's good. So. It's good. It's a good watch. I definitely recommend it.
Okay. All right. I've heard. Yeah, I've heard the movie's good. I just haven't seen it before. So
I guess to add to the lure of this place, did you guys know that Post Malone filmed his music video for the Motley Crue song here too? So more fun facts about Auto Club.
There you go.
Look at us.
Okay.
It's gonna be sad to see this track reconfigured, but I'm excited to see the Martinsville-Bristol combo that they have. Yeah, Richmond
Fairgrounds.
Exactly, all of that. It's just all going to be one really exciting combination. Now, as it stands, I'm looking at this Ballistic Pack C-Class Championship battle, and Brandon Panetta would be ahead by just a little bit, not a ton, probably about 5 points, because he currently holds the fastest lap. Hey, look at that. The fastest lap making a difference. 5 points, and if Grantham gets up there, he will basically flip that in the opposite direction.
Man.
You and that fastest lap, always informing us. By the way, another driver has gone off and retired from the session. That is Evan Panetta that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Just not an eventful, or rather, not a fun afternoon. Very eventful, but unfortunately a little too eventful. As one driver has spun another through turn 8. It is a Ballistic Pack's truck. It is Jeremy Barreau. And again, he was in third in this C class, not only on track, but in the standings as well. So he'll more than likely lose a couple of spots in that exchange. So not something you want to do. Turn 8 seems to be a real trouble spot for these guys.
Yeah, going back on Jeremy Barreau there, it looks like he just self-spun going into the corner. I mean, just kind of locked up towards the end, hit the brakes a little too late, and caused the rears to lock up on that truck. So around he goes. Fortunately, he's still got the halfway brake. Bad news is it's approaching about 15 minutes away from now, so he's got to hang on to that truck, and it's only getting hotter out here, boys. Still 93 degree air temp, 136 for the track, but that doesn't mean it's any less difficult.
No, it is quite not. It's quite warm. And now I want to go back to that fastest lap, because I got a couple of fun facts about that fastest lap. In the A class, no driver has gotten fastest lap more than once. It's been a different driver each and every single race we've had so far. In the B class, it's a completely different story. Matt Taylor has had the fastest lap every single race. And then in the Ballistics Pack C class, David Grantham and Brandon Panetta have been swapping back and forth for each race who gets fastest lap. Schedule says David Grantham should get it this time.
All right. Well, great information there from Josh Mendoza, learning all the ins and outs and the trends here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. By the way, apparently someone in the chat said that there is a movie that we missed. Herbie Fully Loaded was also.
Oh, I remember that one too.
So was it Autoclub then, or was it still California Speedway? I don't
know. I think it might have been California back to Fontana.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, thank you for keeping us up to date on all of our very important pop culture references here at eRacr, as we still have a good battle for the lead going on. Seth the Merchant, Matt Danson putting on a show. Frisch overshooting turn 3 a little bit. Now, the Merchant's going to overshoot turn 4. Here comes Matt Danson looking for the race lead. He's going to get it on the outside.
Man, wow. He just crossed over his teammate there, Seth the Merchant. And big shout out to all these guys. The entire A class is right here. So, well, besides James Gibson, of course, had the issues, but all the able-bodied A class cars are right in this group right here. They all went off right there. They just follow each other, Pocono-esque. But give a shout out to all these guys. Danson, of course, your leader, to Merchant, Frisch, Andy Trupiano, Christian Peterson, the guy we haven't mentioned at all.
Whoa,
and Frisch is going to slide into turn number 10. He saves it, but Cody Harris is right here as well. So all these guys, all 6 of these guys are right there in the mix.
They are indeed. And again, I wonder, we've heard this talk about how important or how hurtful dirty air can be in these cars. But I have to think here, Auto Club, very wide racetrack, Frisch is going to admit the entry here to turn. Well,
that's a huge penalty.
I moved my track map on my. That was the entry to turn 11. He missed that. I moved my track map on my monitor, so it kind of threw me off for a second which turn he went into. But
a lot of them. That was turn 14 that he missed. Turn 13,
no,
14.
On my map, it's turn 11. So there was one map I saw out there, because apparently there's like a.
According
there's
to
a part of the road course where you can get 2 turns in before oval turn 2.
I'm going by the iRacing map, so I got that as 13 and 14 there.
I'm gonna stick with the iRacing map on this one. Blake, get your bootleg map out of here.
Official map, but iRacing map as well, I suppose. Either way, there's a lot of turns on this road course. I think we can all agree on that.
I like the iRacing map because the tri-oval is turn 20.
It's one big turn.
It's one big turn.
See, man. I have on my map. I have 18 turns. I don't even have 19. The iRacing says 19. I have 18
really?
Here, so I don't know.
That's funny because the map that iRacing has in there, it's just clearly 20.
But in the iRacing, if you like, I'm looking at the info tab in iRacing right now, and it says 19 as through turn 8. Christian Peterson, or what I think is turn 8, has gone off. We actually don't know what turn it is.
It's
supposedly turn 8. But no, that is turn 10. So that's another turn 8. Turn 10, well, I guess all 3 of these corners, 8, 9, and 10, have been just the toughest part. It looks like Peterson has got really wide going into turn 10 and got those left sides in the grass. And as if you've driven in a NASCAR vehicle on a road course in iRacing, hitting the grass is essentially hitting the ice. So not a good corner there for Peterson. He's able to keep it going, but probably gonna have to look at that halfway break to kind of get himself caught back up.
The problem is I've said turn 8 so many times, I think I'm just going to refer to it as the corner formerly known as turn 8. Maybe.
We'll just refer to every corner as turn 8.
Yeah.
And I hear turn 10, and I immediately think of turn 10 studios for Forza and all of that for any of you Xbox players out there.
Yep.
Well, you see here, that is your leader, Matt Danson, heading into turn 8. He's going to get into the braking zone here in turn 8 before he makes a right-hander through turn 8. These cones are taking a beating in this race, too.
They really are. You look at some of the guys up front in the A class. I mean, Cody Harris has probably the cleanest car, I think, out of all these guys. But Frisch has got a little bit of damage. Peterson's got some right side damage. And these cars are getting absolutely beat up as here we go, looking back further in C class, Riley Dunn and Jeremy Breaux. This is the battle for 5th in the Ballista Pack C class. Remember, Jeremy Breaux spun earlier going into what is actually turn 8. So good to see him getting back up there. But right now the battle's still raging as Dunn looking to get that draft up to him and make a run at it.
Okay, so that is the thing with Riley Dunn, working his way up through the draft. Now, when you look at turns 1 and 2, you may think of how much speed that these drivers can carry in. But again, these trucks, these cars, they're not meant to go around the oval, so they're not carrying near the amount of speed, and they are really tight through this portion of the track.
I hate to cut away.
As you see right in front of him, he's sliding through Jeremy Breaux, but he saved it.
I hate to cut away from this, but David Grantham and Brandon Pinetto are now neck and neck as Brandon Pinetto had a little bit of issues. Oh, and he continues to have issues. Oh,
he's off. Grantham to the lead. Wow, started almost dead last in the whole field, and now he's leading the Ballista Pack C-Class. What a drive for Grantham.
Wow. That is wild. That is points lead now swapped in the other direction. David Grantham has the points lead. Brandon Pinetto now looking outside, looking in.
I feel like this is a championship battle that is likely going to go down to the very final race of the season, which of course will take place next week. Only one more race. Hard to believe it's already almost over. We've been at this for a couple of Saturdays here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series, but the penultimate round here at the Autoclub Speedway taking place right now. Looking at the timer that we have on our screen, just short of about, or yeah, a little over 10 minutes until we get that halfway caution at the moment. Looking like we may have a couple of cars that are going to go a lap down. I would imagine some of the trucks may have to stave that off by the time this eventually cycles through, I believe.
It's looking
a lot of cones being abused here.
It's hard. They're all over the place. They're like confetti.
Really are. Malillo is hitting more cones back here as we take a look at our overall leader, Matt Danson. So I want to harp again on David Grantham, his drive up through the field. Such a great job for him so far. But don't count out Brandon Pinetto. He might have taken a little bit more of an aggressive approach at the start of this run. But such a good thing to see him running up front still with this race, especially if you guys remember his emotional interview last week. So thankful he won. He's said it was a great day for him. He was so excited to be able to win last week, and we're wishing him the best. As you guys saw from last week, he recently had surgery after his interview. He told us last week he's here competing again, so big shout out to Brandon. He's been here and been competing every week, and we're really glad to see him doing well in this race. So big shout out to Brandon for sure.
Absolutely. Of course, anybody who remembers everything that happened last week, glad to see that he is doing okay. As we'll take a look there, that is the number 7 machine. Trying to hold off. Actually, it's 7 on his car. Not 7. Actually, yes, it is. That's Andy Trupiano and Cody Harris doing battle right there. That's for 3rd in A class. That's pretty close. Frisch right behind him. Christian Peterson trying his best to hang on. And let's see, Brandon Pinetto had a little bit of a running off. I think he got a little bit of a timing penalty.
Who's that way out there? Is that Peterson? That was Demar. How did he end up out there?
Wow.
That is the worst miss we've seen, I think. Are we going to get a replay on that? I'm very curious.
Oh, man.
I'm going to take a look at it. It looks like he just missed it completely. I don't know if
he missed the chicane, which led to him missing that braking point. It's already a difficult braking point. And wow, he just about goes back out onto turn 1 and turn 2.
Yep, there it is. So here, let's see what happened to him. So this is coming way into the road course for him. But man, that's a tough one. He's able to keep it going, luckily, as he just missed everything there. And that's a definite slowdown penalty. So here he comes now, Blake. This is coming up to turns 5 and 6, right here. So there you go. There's turn 5. There's turn 6, and here's the straightaway. So he's coming up to turn 7 and turn 8, which is a quick left-right-hander here. And let's see, he gets right side's in the grass and then just completely misses the corner. So I don't know. That's an un-Seth DeMerchant like mistake we've seen, Blake, but definitely one that cost him pretty much all his track position.
Well, he had a little bit of a mistake. There was another driver, Brandon Pinetto, who went off and got a slowdown penalty and was voicing his displeasure with that. Of course, you see drivers taking advantage of all they can. There was a lot of time to be found out here with some of the tight corners, a little bit of leeway that you can kind of cut through a little bit, and drivers taking advantage of all of it. The 5 got a little bit too much, and he's been on it on the radio for a good minute or perhaps a little more about I guess something that he doesn't necessarily agree with. Do you see Malillo in front of him sliding all over the place, guys? I kid you not, the track temperature right now, 139 degrees. I mean, we're talking hotter than firecracker temperatures right here, as Malillo is just doing all he can to hang on to it and get to that 30-minute break.
I'm surprised we're not seeing drivers blowing rear tires right now at this rate. Everybody's just all over the place right now. Fortunately, that they've been given the 3-minute warning for the pits to be closed, so we've got just over 5 minutes before the halfway caution. And Josh, this is going to be something that these drivers can't wait to see coming up.
Matt Taylor is very slow on the front straightaway. Yeah.
What happened here?
I
don't know.
He's not speeding up. I think the engine may have expired on that machine.
I'm going to check the replay here and see if I can figure it out. I mean, he's going through the gears through 15, 16, sputter.
There's no way he's out of fuel, is he? There's no way. It's only been 4.
I mean, I'm listening to the engine right now. The engine is still going.
Could this be a hardware failure?
I don't know. The drivers are asking him if he's okay there. Whenever we get when JP's listening in, whenever we get an update, I'm sure we'll go to him and see. So far, it says there's nothing yet, but this is championship implications if this is an issue for Matt.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
I was just gonna say, I mean, he may already have it locked up. We don't have a huge B-class field out here, so it may make the championship closer, but I'm not sure if this means this is the end. But I definitely think that this is weird. He's gonna get a pit exit penalty here for an unsafe pit entry and pit exit. This is the weirdest. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, again, he wasn't sputtering or out of fuel, because you would have heard that in the RPMs. But and there wasn't a sudden slowing. He didn't miss a shift, because you would have heard that. You would have seen the smoke. So I don't really know what's going on. He's slowly coming up to speed. He was at 18 miles an hour. Now he's at 30. Now he's slowing back down. Now he's back to full song. So
I think I know exactly what he's doing here. He's bored. He wants a freaking challenge. So that's. I mean,
still slow.
I mean, there's
maybe not.
No, he's pulling off. Yeah, he's pulling off to the side. So.
He keyed up his mic for a second. I mean, in all honesty, I hope everything's okay with him. I've seen sort of stuff like this before. Something might be happening at his house. There might be an emergency. So I hope everything's okay with Matt Taylor. He just got out of his vehicle, so that tells me something's happening. I hope everything's okay. We see Andy Trupiano is off track. You're going to get things going and pointed in the right direction, and Matt Taylor just is disconnected. So wishing all the well to Matt Taylor and hoping everything is okay.
I don't know. Again, we're just speculating here. We don't know if, maybe he had a date with his girlfriend or something that he forgot about or something. So who knows exactly what's going on here. Hardware failure. Perhaps he had a pedal issue. We don't really know, but nevertheless, kind of like you would see a mechanical failure in real life, something has tagged your points leader, who, again, came into tonight with an opportunity to lock up the B-Class championship. And unfortunately, that will not be happening tonight, as now he's getting back in. So I think it's a type of mechanical failure, hardware, computer, something going on with that.
I think, Justin, you got an update on Matt?
Yes, just got this confirmation from Matt Taylor. He said it looks like his Oculus crashed, as in his VR. He tried to treat it as a new headset. He says it's very strange, a tough situation for Taylor. And of course, when your VR headset crashes like that, you have no idea where you are. That's impressive that he was able to wheel it around the racetrack with no visibility.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear everything's okay, and it's just a hardware failure. Going to make next week a little bit more difficult, but I think he'll have it in the bag.
Man,
that's tough, but what an opportunity for Gary Weaver, Brian Sabelski, because not only is Taylor he's going to fall back in the points, but they have an opportunity to really gain some. So now this battle for the lead in B class, which is only separated by about half of a second right now between Gary Weaver and Brian Sabelski, will be one that we will have to watch closely as we move into the race's second half. We are 1 minute away from the halfway caution. A couple minutes ago, the 3-minute warning when pit road is closed was issued out to drivers. So pit road has been closed. So anybody who wanted to try and short pit, they had the opportunity to do so. I don't believe one driver came and did that, and there you see the halfway caution is being flown as Danson came to the start-finish line to complete what for him was lap number 17. So caution is out, and we are done with the opening half here at the Autoclub Speedway. A lot going on, a lot of great racing, a lot of drivers going off, some mechanical hardware issues. It's been eventful, that's for sure.
I'm seeing all these cars just fly by the pace car because the pace car is going 35 miles per hour. It is a grueling slow pace lap here at Autoclub Speedway. My goodness.
If we could get an update from one of the drivers after they get these tires, I'm very curious to see what the wear on their tires is like, because these guys are just throwing these things around and there's absolutely no traction left on these cars. As we talked about, the track temperature, you could probably fry an egg on it now. It's 139 degrees here on the track. So I'm really curious to see what condition these tires are in, because from what we've seen, Blake, these guys are definitely clamoring for some tires.
Oh, no doubt about it. As you see a little bit of cloud cover, that may do just something to try and cool this racetrack down, but it's not going to do a whole lot. Again, we're in sim time. We're at 12:50. Geez, look at that cloud. It's about the perfect shape of the speedway, as everything around it covered in sunlight, and then I'm sure that cloud, you could see it kind of moving through oval 3 and 4, and it's probably going to pass us here in just a moment, but may provide some relief to these drivers because, again, this track is scorching hot, hotter than the Firecracker 400, and we know how slick that track can be. So these drivers dealing with a lot, and then of course you have Seth the Merchant that I don't know, he's trying to get everything out of those rear tires right now.
It's whatever's left on that. There's going to be down to the wires on those tires. Big shout out to the crew in the STN airship, by the way, for providing that aerial shot there. But this is Blake. We've seen it a bunch of times whenever we've raced with Seth. This is a trademark for him. Now, didn't he wreck it, I think, in New Hampshire when he was trying to do this? So I think he did. That's on Seth Likes, who's trying to make up for himself. We have Matt back on the track.
Yeah, Matt Taylor has caught back up to this group. You love to see that. He's back out on the racetrack. He did lose a couple of laps, though, so that would be tough for him to try to make up that lost ground. But you know what? I got to give a shout-out to the pace car driver. 35 miles an hour. He is that old woman in your small town that refuses to go a mile per hour over the speed limit, and she's forcing everyone to stay behind them and not pass them. And you can see they're all going 4 lanes. They're all mad, clogging up the fast lane, but guess what? She's going to hold steady at 35.
We are officially in California. We have traffic at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, round the clock. We have traffic. And 35 might be the fastest you'll get when you're on the 405 here in Los Angeles. So
I was about to say 35 would be pretty. That'd be pretty fast at a certain point. You see Andy Trupiano there. Everybody kind of playing around. Again, the cones set up here are very interesting because you can hit some of the cones and not get an iRacing penalty for slowing down or for cutting the course. But for some of them, you can't. So it's kind of interesting to see the drivers trying to learn those limits, because there is time out there to gain if you figure out where you can do it. But they're going to head down to you, Justin Prince. Everybody entering onto pit road here at this halfway break.
And they'll make the very slow crawl of 35 miles per hour to the speed limit. trying to make sure they stay under that mark to prevent speeding here at this racetrack. And many of these boxes are not until the halfway mark of the pit lane. But so far, things have been pretty active on the radio when it comes to some of the frustrations. You mentioned Paul Netto. He's actually apologized for some of his behavior over said radio. He's among one of the first drivers to make their way towards their pit box. The rest of these drivers making that slow crawl towards the front of the pit lane as everyone's getting ready for their 4 tires and fuel. Among the first drivers in CP, Matt Danson gets into his first pit box. Several drivers nearly making contact trying to roll their way into the respective stalls. But the rest of the competitors just getting themselves completed up on the jacks for their pit stop service. 6683, some of the drivers are reporting on tire wear. Among some of the first drivers out, it's Cody Harris with a good launch.
Cody Harris out of the pit box. What was his time? A 14.9 second pit stop. Definitely not the fastest one, but somehow good enough to get out front. A really slow pit stop for Matt Danson.
Man.
And again, when we restart, we don't section them off by class.
I think that's
he's got a
damage repair.
He's also got a penalty of some sort, it looks like.
But as JP said, what a launch off a pit road for Cody Harris. You know, the art of getting into pit road is one thing, but there's an art to getting out of their pit stall as well and minimizing tire spin and getting the most speed. But a big shout out to Cody Harris for that. Now, we're seeing Arthur Reimer in the B class, as JP alluded to, hit 66.83. So the first number is the middle right front tire percentage remaining. And the second number will be the right rear. So 66 on the right front is kind of odd for a road course, but Michael Frisch just came back with his tires on the chat. He says he had a 80 on the right front and 52 on the rear. So these things, well, at least for Frisch, he was doing his burnouts, but
yeah, of course, you got to keep that in mind.
A lot of these guys are saying, though, the tires not really going away as much as they thought they were.
And by the way, how about the championship locations for Matt Danson, who sped on a pit road?
Did you say championship locations?
Yes.
That's a new one.
I don't know. There's a couple of eRacr isms. Maybe that can be the next one. Championship locations.
Championship locations.
Does anyone remember what the what when Landon said during the firecracker?
Porpoising.
Porpoising, yeah. That
Hucklebucking.
He's got those type of isms, I guess, for his racing. I guess Blake, Josh, we're gonna have to come up with one now that Blake's throwing them out to us now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what to come up with. What would be a good one? Geez, I don't even know.
Just kind of animal.
An animal, an otterism. I don't know.
Mallard.
I could use an otter pop right now. This is a very hot track. What is the current track temperature? Let me see. 139, still sitting there.
Looking pretty. If anyone's curious, winds are northwest at 3 miles per hour. So,
oh, it was 4 for like a split second.
The windiest day California's seen in a while.
Matt Danson asking Race Control what the restart policies are. He is going to be all the way in the back, joined alongside the other championship leader, Matt Taylor. It's going to be very interesting to see these guys work their way through the field. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be treacherous. Who saw this one coming? I did not see. I didn't see those two making a mistake like that. They've seemed almost perfect almost the entire time. So
that's why we run the races, right?
Yeah.
And again, an intra-class restart going to take place here with just about 22 and a half minutes left to go in this race. So it'll be really interesting to see a lot of different agendas going on. Cody Harris has come into the fray up at the front of the field in the A class. Does he have a crack at the race lead? We'll have to find out. He is your race leader as he leads him onto the front stretch here at the Autoclub Speedway. 22 minutes left. Who gets back here first in each class? And will we have a championship decided in any of our 3 classes? We'll see that here as he waits for... He waited for Barney, and guess what? Seth the Merchant took advantage of that. They're going to be side by side at drag races. They're coming up to full song here through 1 and 2. And, oh, man, this is going to be close. I don't know where you want to be on the high side or low side getting into turn 3.
But here they come off of NASCAR 2, but keep an eye on Christian Peterson just out of frame there coming off of NASCAR 2. He had to start deeper in the field because of the pit stops. But look at Seth just going completely through the track there, 3 wide behind them as here comes the A-Class drivers trying to make it through. We got Peterson running through there. Danson is back there as well, trying to get through. Everyone seems to make it through clean as they head into turns 4 and 5, still side by side for 4th overall.
And Danson from 20th place to 8th place in 30
around.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That's not fun.
Reimer gets some help going around. He's able to keep it going. But as you were saying, Josh, big pluses for Matt Danson, especially as he's looking to knife his way back to the front of this thing.
Brian Sabell.
He is.
Good.
There you go. Ahead, Josh.
Thank you, Blake. I appreciate it. Brian Sabelski kind of threw it on the inside of Danson there. Made me a little bit nervous. I'm sure it made Danson and his crew a lot more nervous than I as we see 3 wide action going into turn 13.
Oh, man, Peterson hanging tough on the high side there. He's actually going to be able to hold off Trupiano. A great job there, defensive driving through this left-hander, though. Not sure who's going to be able to hold on here. And, wow, so Peterson makes that work around the outside of turn 13. A long line of cars here. Gary Weaver is in the midst of it. And, oh, Danson just about gets into the back of Weaver. Again, he's in an Xfinity car, so not near the amount of power here on these straightaways. But he will kind of use the draft from Matt Danson to continue to try to make his lead a little bit larger over Brian Sabelski. He's about 5 or 6 car lengths back of him as they work through the oval in 1 and 2.
Looks like Arthur Reimer spun again off of the final corner, turn 20 on the front stretch. So he's got that number 49 going back in the right spot. So 2 spins on 1 lap isn't going to really do your tires any favors. But he's able to keep it going. But how about Gary Weaver's up here slow? He has a slowdown. That's going to open the door for Sabelski. And Sabelski takes the lead in the overall B class.
And again, that was because of his entry into turn 3. A couple of the cones had been knocked down just before he got there. And so he didn't see them. And so he cut right through, didn't think anything of it. But the iRacing cut line was still there. Unfortunately, Weaver tabbed with cutting the course, so now Sabelski has control of the point here in B class, and right behind them, David Grantham, who's leading the C class. As again, we've seen this time and time again that the Xfinity and truck, the Ballista Pack C class, really kind of intermingle pretty well with just the similarity in speeds, especially with a track like this, a lot of low, slow, flat sections through the infield portion.
Yeah, this has been wild. Now, Brian Sabelski is in the 2nd place right now in the points for the B class. So this is the kind of day he needed. Really needed in order to even have an opportunity to be staying in contention for the B class championship. And as we see right now, he is flying. He's driving away. And I don't think Taylor is going to be able to make much up. He's currently scored P8, which is about, I think, 3 or 4 points. That's going to easily be his drop race for the season. So going to put up no additional points, where Sabelski is going to be able to take this and just add 25, 18, some points in there if he's able to maintain this current position.
That's the hope, is that he would be able to maintain that with Brian Sabelski. Weaver trying to chase him down, though. I think Weaver had a little bit more pace. He was ahead of Sabelski early on, but they were very close through that first run, so we'll have to see. Taylor gonna need a mistake to make that up. He's currently 2 laps down, so no way to really make that back up with a Xfinity Series car that's a lot slower than what the race leaders have. So Taylor just pretty much needs some DNFs to have a chance at trying to make up some points. Seth the Merchant, he was in 2nd. He just had a slow down. That loses him the 2nd spot. Move Christian Peterson up into that point. And, You know what? Up here at the front, we haven't really mentioned it, but Cody Harris with the lead and driving away from Seth the Merchant and Christian Peterson. So he got the lead on pit road, and since then he has not been looking back.
Very surprising there for Cody, and a great job by him to get this second half of the race started with a bang. Won the race off of pit road, had the best traction on pit exit, and look where he is now, has all the clean air in the world, and has just over a 2-second gap to the Logitech Gialtis Esports teammates of Christian Peterson and Seth DeMerchant. But we're going to go back a little bit to get a quick update, on your B and Ballista Pack C class drivers here. Again, Sabelski is your leader. He's got a 1.3 second advantage over Gary Weaver. Then into the Ballista Pack C class, we got David Grantham again is your leader. And Brandon Paunetto is still in second. The gap is 2.4 seconds for that. And I've been kind of paying attention. It is kind of growing. So I don't know, Blake, maybe Paunetto kind of trying to take it easy to start this run after seeing what his tires were like at the conclusion of the first half of the race. But long race to go. So we got plenty of races still to go.
That is true. Again, a little bit shorter, though, than that first run. So if you're worried about tire wear, you're not going quite as long as you did in that first stint, and that's something I think with experience, especially for most of the drivers who have participated in a fair amount of these races, I think you start to learn that not only what the track tends to do over the course of a long run, but also the fact that, or how hard you can push the car, especially in the second half, that tends to be a couple of minutes shorter and run a couple less laps than what we did in the first half of the race. So Matt Danson, that last time by, he and Michael Frisch were very close. That was some pretty sketchy stuff going on right there. It's Trupiano right now. He leads Frisch in that fourth spot. DeMerchant, who had the slowdown, in third. Then his Logitech Altus Esports teammate and Christian Peterson all trying to set their sights on Cody Harris, who pulled away, but that last time by, Christian Peterson got him by about half a second. So maybe that 95 car trying to keep that lead, but might be running his tires off doing that, as now we have a good three-way battle for second, or excuse me, this is for the third spot.
We see right now some close racing. When we get an opportunity, I would like to check out that restart for Danson. It's just incredible to think that he went from 20th to 6th and is now only 5 seconds behind Cody Harris, the overall leader. And at any moment, these three in front of him could just pull the same Pocono scenario where they go off the course all at once, and Danson could just drive right on by and maybe get up to third. So we're going to go ahead and try and get the this replay up here of this restart where he went from 20th to about 8th in 3 or 4 corners.
3 wide on the start, just splits Reimer, and I believe that was, who was that? That was Jeremy Bro, I believe, in C-Class. Goes to the outside of Paunetto and just mowing everybody down. There's Grantham. Here comes Sabelski, and they head into turn number 2 here, turn 3, I should say. Gets to the preferred line on Sabelski, makes the pass easily, and then gets to your B-Class leader, well, at the time, B-Class leader, in Gary Weaver. But man, what a job by Matt Danson here, showing why he's one of the best in this series, picking his spots and making it count.
I gotta say that may be driver of the day worthy type of stuff right there. I mean, he definitely had the fastest lap the next lap. I mean, Josh would be pretty excited about that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's fastest lap. Those are important points to get. As it stands right now, I believe Seth the Merchant actually has the fastest lap with a 1:39.764 out of the entire field. So Seth the Merchant coming in there, stealing fastest lap and adding another one up to his board.
Well, he's not going to go fastest lap that time, as he blows right through turns 3 and 4. So getting a little bit of a slowdown, I would imagine, and having to gather it back up. Again, the pace falls off so drastically at this racetrack that I don't think that anybody, all the fastest laps, unless you come back down pit road and try to get that specifically, I think they're pretty much all set in stone from this point forward, especially with how hot these tires get on this racetrack that is now eclipsed 140 degrees, 141 degree track temp.
That is warm. That is toasty. And Blake, you want to hear some trends?
Let's hear it, Larry.
The trends continue with the fastest lap. Seth the Merchant doesn't currently have the fastest lap on his record for the entire series. He now owns that, and like you said, unless somebody comes down pit road, that's going to stay pretty much par for the course. Matt Taylor has had fastest lap in B class every race and is currently sitting fastest lap right now. And David Grantham and Brandon Pinetto have been trading back and forth, and on schedule, David Grantham is sitting right now with the fastest lap.
Okay, well, there you have it.
Those trends, they'll get you.
Trends.
They can sneak up on you if you're not careful. You see right here, good battle going on. This is still, this is for the third position. Seth the Merchant just lost it to Andy Trupiano. And, of course, you have Matt Danson right there in that mix as well. Frisch has fallen about a second back of this three-way battle. This is some good stuff heading here through 3 and 4.
So as they make their way through, so these guys are not giving each other an inch. We're just over 10 minutes left, 11 minutes and 13 seconds to be exact. So these guys, the closer they battle, the more Harris and Peterson will pull away. As look at right now, Christian Peterson gets, or Matt Danson, I should say, gets a little wide, but he makes his way up into fourth. So if he could somehow sneak a podium finish out of this, what a job by Danson. So might, as you said, Blake, driver of the day material for sure based on that last restart alone.
That may be enough to help him. I mean, again, I'm still marveling at at that restart. I mean, that was some amazing stuff. And again, restarts police per iRacing rules. So as long as the black flag wasn't issued, really no reason to go back and police it. I think Danson did exactly what he had to do. And, of course, I think the other thing that people forget, too, is he is in a NASCAR Cup Series car, which has much more horsepower than the Xfinity car and the truck. And, again, we may be at Auto Club, but, again, this is the high horsepower, low downforce package because we were technically on a road course. So they're not hindered by running 550 horsepower at this track. So that definitely helped Danson be able to accomplish what he did on that restart. Battle for the B class. It is within half a second right now between Brian Sabelski and Gary Weaver. Weaver, a little bit of damage on the right rear of his race car. You have to imagine that at this portion of the racetrack that would slow him down a little bit, but I think through the road course section, it's probably not doing him, probably not hurting that race car too much.
Now that car looks a little damaged, but it was damaged when we went on the restart. So he's had that damage for a while now, gotten used to how that car drives on that damage. And if you are able to make speed with a damaged car and you know how it drives and it can expect what differences it might have, you can still get out there, get a little speed, and if you're Gary Weaver, maybe get a win.
He could steal one away. Again, these races are about opportunities, and fortunately with Taylor's hardware issue, this opens up the door for a driver, again, heading into the last race of the year, to be able to kind of build up that lead, take that opportunity to set themselves up for a championship. And who knows what can happen next week. That's the other thing is, nothing has really come easy or straightforward this entire season for any of these drivers. I don't imagine that heading into the season finale next week that'll change all that much.
Oh man, I'm watching this B-class lead as you guys are right now. Gary Weaver is there. He's got I don't want to say plenty of time to pass Brian Sabelski, but we're looking to see if Sabelski can close the deal in one of these. If you guys remember way back in the first race of the season at Texas, Sabelski had it all but locked up for the win, but on the last lap spun the tires going back onto the oval portion of the track, and he was passed by Matt Taylor to win the race. So he still hasn't really been able to shake that off, but a win, I can't remember your name for some reason, Blake, but Blake would certainly do him a lot of favors. As here comes Gary Weaver off the corner. He's got to back out of it, but it looks like Sabelski is going to hang on to it for now.
Not that memorable, I suppose. As Sabelski hangs on to the lead through 3 and 4. Another really good battle. There's another kind of nose-to-tail battle. It's for fourth in the Ballista Pack C class. Dustin Ping and Hunter Reeve also kind of mirroring the battle that you see on your screen. Oh, a big slide out of Hunter Reeve, a lockup. Well, I'd say that battle was close, and I think he just blew through that corner. I imagine that's a slowdown for the 0.44 as well. Perhaps, maybe no, but that was a good battle going on until I jinxed it, I suppose.
Nice job.
This is Matt Danson, still not able to make up any more room, still P5 in his class and overall. And yeah, and going back to that last story, I just want to quickly say, Sabelski actually was the one who kept it together, and Taylor was the one who spun his tires off. So that's the only slip-up Taylor has had, excluding this race, as we see side-by-side action going down the front stretch.
As Andy Trupiano again able to hold off the charging Seth the Merchant to try and keep that third position in the A-Class with just a couple of minutes left in this race. And, you know, we're still having a great battle for that race lead in the B-Class, but also don't forget about Cade McGee. He's about 2 seconds behind this battle for the lead in that class as well. So Cade McGee, hoping that these two that you see right there, you can see at the back part of your screen there, McGee is within striking distance if anything were to happen here, and these two may slow each other down as they're looking to go side by side. Sabelski blows through it.
No!
Oh, man. We'll talk about a recovery right there. That could have been a lot worse, but he's still in contention.
I feel like I'm responsible for that. I had to bring it up from Texas.
Oh,
well,
man.
wasn't I just talking about Cade McGee? Look at how close it is now. This is a three-way battle for the lead in B-Class, all within a couple of car lengths.
Wow.
I can't believe that. So what does that do to his tires now? We mentioned the track temperature as McGee just sends it. Here he comes into turn 8 and 9. He's looking to the outside. This isn't going to be easy. Now maybe tries to cross over. He's still there off of turn 10.
Sabelski is trying to serve his slowdown, but he also didn't want to leave the racing groove and give up another spot, so he was trying to serve his slowdown. That slowed up McGee a little bit, who I don't think he really did anything more than what he typically does. Weaver in front of them kind of misses the entry right there to this section of the racetrack. That allows Sabelski and McGee to pull up, so this battle, I think, is going to be real close. And oh, by the way, overall, Christian Peterson and Cody Harris are also within half a second.
That's a close battle, as we see both a close battle for B-Class and a close battle for A-Class. I mean, it is go time. These laps are about 1:42 seconds apiece. So if you see that timer up in the top left and it is 1:42 or more, and the leader crosses that line, then we're going to go 2 more laps. So definitely going to be a wild race, I think. We got plenty of race
picture. Picture in picture is a must.
Yes, something for next season.
Something we'll have to watch for. And again, this battle inched up quickly, so Peterson much quicker these last couple of laps. It was half a second last time by that he ran down Cody Harris. So Harris, who got out to about a 3, maybe 3.5 second lead at one point, has just been gobbled up by Christian Peterson. Now, does Peterson have enough time through the dirty air? And with, like you said, Josh, just probably about 2 laps to try and get it done. Can he get by the 95 and get the win?
Yeah, we'll see right here. As another note, Matt Danson has made his way up to 3rd, and that's going to be a crucial performance for maintaining his current lead in the A-Class. So we see them go right down the front stretch, 3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining or so. Wow, this is coming down to the wire again. I don't know what the heck is going on here.
Paige for the lead in B-Class. Sabelski goes by Gary Weaver. Weaver misses the entry to the final set of corners, and now 3-way battle. Weaver loses 2 spots, and now Sabelski, your leader, McGee in second.
Look at this battle right here. It's a 3-way battle for the B-Class lead, but what a job by Sabelski making up for the mistake, serving his slowdown, and getting back to the lead. I don't know how he did that, but that's incredible stuff. Big ups to Brian Sabelski.
Well, he provided that pressure to Weaver, and that's all he needed.
My heart hurts for Weaver because he has been performing each and every single week, always there, always in contention. And the 1 week Taylor made a mistake, you know he wants this win so bad, so hopefully he can go out there and get it back.
Well, remember, Cybelski won all the way back at Texas, the season opener, with a last lap, last turn pass on Matt Taylor. So Cybelski knows how to close these deals out and get it done. Perhaps he can do it again. They are still close for the race lead between the top two, Cody Harris and Christian Peterson, separated by maybe a car length, if not less. McGee looking to the outside here to try to take the race lead. Weaver now going to make contact with McGee. There's too good racing going on everywhere.
So this one might be the one to watch, though. It's a three-way battle for the B-class lead. Here comes Gary Weaver trying to close into the back of Cade McGee. Here we go through the quick right left. It looks like Cybelski is going to get a good exit here, and this is a big part of the race. For Cybelski, 1.5 minutes remaining right now, so he needs to get a good exit back onto the oval and pull away. But back up front, Harris still, Peterson all over him, applying the pressure.
And we are 1 to go. The white flag is in the air. This is going to be for the win this last lap.
And Harris a little wide off the corner. He grabs a little bit of the rumble strips. They'll go side by side into turn 5. Peterson hard charging, late braking on the outside, and he's going to try the crossover here as they work through turn 6. Peterson looking for a way around, but Harris gets the throttle back down. He'll hold him off by about a car length.
Coming up to turn number 8 and 9, it's still Cody Harris with the advantage over the grass. Who's going to get the better entry? Peterson locks up. He looks to the inside. He's there, but Harris has the preferred line off of turn number 10. He gets the launch off, but Peterson still has a couple more times to try to pass as they make their way to the final corners.
Final set of corners here at Auto Club. Can Harris, who has held the race lead the entire second half, hold on? They may have a little bit of lap traffic with something to say about it. The lap traffic blows through the corner, but he'll let them sort it out. Peterson, big slide off. Do they use the bumpers here? Peterson to the back of the 95. A little contact, a bump, a nudge onto the oval. 1 hour, and it comes down to this. Peterson trying to get the throttle down, but it's not going to be enough. Cody Harris is going to win in the A-Class at the Autoclub Speedway, and now our eyes turn to that battle for the win in B-Class. McGee and Weaver earlier in the lap exchanged a couple of bumps. They exchanged them once again, but that has allowed Brian Cybelski, who blows through the last corner. That may be a slowdown for his machine. Does he have to serve a slowdown coming to the line? Weaver sliding off, a bigger slide out of McGee, but it looks like across the line by a car length, Cybelski will hang on.
And here comes off of the final corner, turn 20, David Grantham for the Ballista Pack C-Class. No challenges for him. He's got an 8-second lead, and Grantham will take the win. So how about Grantham? Had a miscue in qualifying, wins the race. What a job. A lot of big drives by a lot of these guys in this race, but maybe none bigger than that 6 machine at Grantham.
My goodness.
We need picture in picture.
I mean, that is just incredible stuff right there. The gap for the A-Class win, 0.123 seconds. Less than 0.2 of a second after an hour is what separates your top two in the A-Class. And then in the B-Class, Brian Cybelski over Gary Weaver, 0.261 is the gap. So 2 battles within 0.3 of a second for each one. It's just absolutely amazing stuff.
Catch your breath, folks.
Wow. That that was a close finish. And Cody Harris, I don't have him listed on as making a start in the last couple of races, so a debut win, that's a pretty impressive job if that is the case.
Almost missed the no burnout memo there coming to the line as he lights the tires up trying to stop, but still in that.
You love to see it. Again, we'll try to catch up with a couple of these drivers in the next couple of moments. We'll see if we can't chat with Cody Harris, your Class A winner, Brian Sabelski, your B-Class winner. Not for the first time this year. Again, as we mentioned earlier, he won all the way back at Texas just a little while ago. And, of course, David Grantham, another C-Class victory for him, a big win for those point standings for that championship battle. We were talking about it. We'll have plenty to talk about when we get to it. Let's see.
Results.
Yeah, let's look at the full race results. Again, Cody Harris, your winner. The gap was not a lap. Again, that is just an iRacing scoring thing. As much as we love Cody Harris, he didn't beat the field that bad. It was actually by about just over a tenth of a second over Christian Peterson. Matt Danson in third, Michael Frisch, Seth DeMerchant, and Andy Trupiano. Again, that was the full results. In A-Class, aside from James Gibson, who finished in 25th. Brian Sabelski, your winner in B-Class. Gary Weaver in second. Cade McKee in third. And then David Grantham, your C-Class winner, rounds out the overall top 10.
We'll look through 11th through 20th. There you see Brandon Ponetto is going to come home in 11th overall. Second in class to David Grantham. 12th will be Justin Melillo. He'll finish fourth in his class. Dustin Ping, Hunter Reeve, Philip Bupp will come home in 15th. Fifth overall in his class. Joseph Selby, 16th. Tyler Stillwell, Riley Dunn, Jeremy Bro, and Arthur Reimer. We saw him have a few difficulties on the track. He's going to bring it home in 20th, Josh, in 7th in his class.
Absolutely. And as we make our way down, got 21st DG Swiss 2 laps down. Matt Taylor not having the race he wanted to, definitely going to carry this championship race into Homestead for the longer 90-minute race. Evan Pienta, early withdrawal. Same with Clint Roberts and James Gibson.
That's your full results here, as I believe I can go ahead and catch up here with your A-Class winner, Cody Harris. Cody, an amazing drive. You pull out to that lead that you get off of pit road to start the second half, and you held it through, but you had Christian Peterson breathing right down your neck there in the final laps.
Yeah, that was a good race all the way around. I think I burnt my tires up a little bit too much when I got out to that lead, but I was glad I was able to hold on for the win.
Indeed. And, you know, being able to come out here, and we've had a lot of these drivers experience running a lot of these road courses. I kind of want to ask, because of this road course, have you run this course at all, or was this something that you kind of had to learn as you go here on the fly in this series?
I learned this one on the go. I actually didn't start any practice until after the Xfinity race finished today, so I guess I'm just a quick learner for road courses.
I suppose so. I would say without any practice here to be able to get it done. But also talk about, we saw such a struggle out there. The track temperature was over 140 degrees. How was it trying to play that balance of having that raw speed that you had, but also having enough at the end to try to hold off that late charge from Christian Peterson?
It was just mainly trying to take care of the tires on the exit, and over the course of that first run, when I was kind of riding there in the back of the A cars, I was just kind of watching what others were doing and just practicing taking care of my tires, so that, because at the end, I think I was the second quickest to Danson there in that run. It was just really tough to pass, and I didn't want to damage my car in the first run. So then I didn't have anything to, it's hard when you're leading at that track because there's not many reference points for the braking points. So I feel like the car behind always has an advantage. So when I started to lose my pace a little bit, and then Christian could definitely use me as a reference to gauge when he could brake.
That's nice to think of as well. But Cody, anybody else while you're here in Victory Lane you want to give a shout out to?
I just want to thank all my family and friends for watching and that support me in the series that I run on iRacing.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. Again, your A-Class winner tonight in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. Cody, we'll let you get to celebrating. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you guys for putting this on.
We appreciate it, Cody. We enjoy putting this on if we get races like this every week, but we'll go ahead and throw it down. Let's go ahead and throw it to Josh Mendoza. He is caught up with your B-Class winner in Brian Sabelski. A big win for him down the stretch in this championship fight.
Brian, this is a huge win for you to get. Going to close up that lead with Matt Taylor for the championship going into Homestead. There's still a chance to get that B-Class championship. How does it feel to win this race?
I'm tired because I have to say that Gary Weaver and Cade McKee absolutely kept it on me, kept the pressure on me the whole race. They were nothing but respectful and clean in how they raced me. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to those two for not like doing anything. They could have, if they wanted to, been really aggressive and pushed me out of the way, but they didn't, and I appreciate that a ton. And I feel gutted for Matt because he had a tech failure and he was gone. I wouldn't have been able to catch him no matter what. So, it just kind of fell into my lap and I was able to take advantage of it today, but it's a huge sigh of relief.
There you go. Congratulations. And now it's been talked a lot. How was figuring out this track? We heard it's very difficult, not enough braking markers. What were you able to do to get it done today?
Biggest thing I think was having run this in another league about 3 months ago. We ran this in an MX5 league. So I came into this week having some experience, having driven this track, albeit completely different car, handles completely differently, but I've driven this track. I kind of knew what to expect with a lot of the corners and stuff. And from there, it was just tailoring that to figure out what gears I go through the corners and where I need to brake. And definitely making sure that I did not pick a cone as a braking marker because those cones would go flying all over the place. And, it's always a good bit of advice is, pick something fixed on the track that's not going to move when something hits it.
Absolutely. They were like confetti all over the place. Well, anyone else you want to thank, how you got this win, all that?
Just thank everyone who's been watching my stream right now over at twitch.tv/neontiger as I stream all the time, stream all these races. Thanks, of course, to all the folks that have helped me out here, eSpeed, ASRC, CMS, SCRS, Phoenix Racing Club, all these groups I've been part of and have made me a better driver. And of course, just for the mental fortitude as well, thanks to Take This for being a great charity that I work with. And of course, really happy to have won this race, and going into Homestead, it's going to be a tough race, but I'm ready for it.
Well, congratulations. That's Brian Sabelski, B-Class winner today.
See if we can't get David Grantham in here as well. Again, not the first time they're here in Victory Lane, but see if Sean Butler can catch up with our C-Class winner.
David, familiar territory for you in Victory Lane tonight. A little bit more difficult than the other ones. So with that qualifying mishap for you, you're able to charge through the field and get it done. So tell us what the journey was like that led you up to the win tonight.
Lots of laps at the Nürburgring in the truck.
Effort tonight locked up enough points to clinch the A-Class championship as well.
Yeah, so we saw from out of him just solid throughout the entire season for Matt Danson, and really had to earn it as we saw tonight. I mean, he pretty much had a good shot to it with Vicente Salas not being here tonight, but didn't come easy for him, as Josh alluded to earlier with that restart after the halfway break. Had to weave his way through the entire field to get to where he was on the podium for A-Class. So I would say a championship well deserved for Danson.